Greetings all. This is a less hairy Justin.
This is a fully hairy Nick.
It is.
How you going, dude?
I'm doing pretty well.
Awesome, man. Awesome. You're back again with your Star Wars shirt.
Star Wars, my Kylo.
I think I've worn this in like the last few videos as well. We really need a bigger wardrobe.
Yeah.
In the meantime, welcome back to the Hangar Bay, our weekly show where we talk about your submitted X-Wing lists. And before we go on and talk about this ship, I do want to mention the fact that we're through another rotation of all the ships, and I think what I'm going to do at this stage is actually take a couple of weeks off of this. There's a couple of more things we want to be putting up on the channel, and I think taking a break from this is probably a good idea. Look, in the meantime, you can expect the rest of the hyperspace legal stuff to be the first thing that we talk about when we come back. This week will be the B-Wing, so the A-Wing and the TIE Bomber are pretty high on the agenda, so keep submitting those lists. I do appreciate that everyone has been sort of going into overdrive since we asked them to last week. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool nice. Indeed. So yeah, B-Wings.
Yeah, they're an interesting ship, aren't they?
They are indeed. The B-Wing on the Rebel faction actually sits in a very similar design and power level space to the X-Wing. In fact, the buy-in cost is exactly the same.
Which is really quite interesting. I wouldn't expect that.
Yeah, you can kind of think of it as having more X-Wings, but there are some key differences, obviously.
Yeah.
They don't have flipping S-foils. Although that would be cool because now the wings are going to fold with the new release. I don't think that's something FFG are going to do. I think it fundamentally changes the design of the ship. We know with the new release they're not going to add any more cards or anything, so it would have to be later on, and that could be awkward with the existing parts. Blah, blah, blah. But in terms of getting a re-release in second edition, it sits in the exact same space as the A-Wing and TIE Interceptor, where it badly needs more pilots.
Yeah, 2 generics and 2 named.
In fact, on all 3 of those platforms, exactly the same case, yes.
And that feels a bit bad.
Yeah,
considering that they used to have so many different named...
Again, all of those ships had more pilots. All of those ships had ace packs in first edition. So it's kind of annoying. I mean, look, at least in the case of the B-Wing, we definitely got the best pilots in second edition.
Most definitely.
In the Interceptor and A-Wing, there's probably a case to get a few more on there. But with the B-Wing, yes, we have Ten Numb and Braylon Stram, both very relevant pilot abilities that work great with the platform. In fact, I think that's a key difference between it and the X-Wing is those really aggressive red maneuvers.
Yeah. And also with the name pilots, at least, using that stress to make it a better ship as well.
Yeah, during combat, during defense, all that kind of stuff. Very, very powerful abilities, which will be revealed as we take a look at the list. But for the time being, let's have a look at this ship. The buy-in cost is 41 points for our base level model. 3 red dice, 1 agility, 4 hull, and 4 shield.
Yeah, now the actions are focus into a barrel roll, target lock, and barrel roll.
And upgrades are sensor, cannon, torpedo, modification. Double cannon, not really that amazing
right now.
Yeah, in fact, what we're basically seeing in any of these lists is just a jamming beam put onto them because jamming beam's free and it's barely ever used. So we're basically barely even using 1 slot at this stage.
Maybe one day we could do a better cannon that uses up both slots.
Yeah, perhaps. In first edition, we had the linked battery, which was a cannon upgrade card, but it just improved your dice on your primary attack. Something to do with rerolls. I don't remember. It'll be up on the screen for you guys to see. And I really like that kind of design, basically sacrificing what could be a very potent slot just for a bit more primary dice. It's basically what the cannon's doing anyway, so why not explore that kind of thing again? That could be a cool thing that FFG could look at again at some stage. But having said that, we still could look at more cannons. And we do know that we are getting another one in the next wave with the Auto Blaster.
Which could be interesting.
We don't know what this does. We don't know how relevant it is with this platform. Look, the old one was great with 10 Numb, but 10 Numb used to have an entirely different pilot ability. So that could be fun. I guess if it's another range one, you don't get to negate one or more of the results. It's what a knife fighter wants.
Yeah.
Could be very, very relevant, especially against aces. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Good things to come for the B-Wing. But for the time being, let's talk about this. Talk about the fact that it's now hyperspace legal and see what we can do with it. Starting with a couple of patron lists. This one by Invader Spleen.
Yeah, now with this one we have 10 Numb, Braylon Stram, Garvandreas, and the Partisan Renegade on the U-Wing.
Indeed. Our B-Wings obviously both have jamming beam. 10 Num also has advanced sensors.
Yeah, and Braylon Stram has Elusive.
Garvandreas just has the servo motor S-foils.
And the Partisan Renegade has Deadman Switch, Layer, Organa, and Pivot Wing. Now, just quickly, if we do have a U-Wing, it's going to be having a Layer on it. In fact, there's going to be another list, which...
Oh yes, we should mention that we basically can't talk about B-Wings right now without talking about Leia. Yes, I know we're a broken record. We talk about it all the time with the Rebellion. The B-Wing is one of those ships, one of those small group of ships that you basically can't avoid it. It's too efficient. It's too powerful. It's just, I know it's going to go up in the next points change.
But until then...
Yeah, until then, do this kind of stuff, because you may as well. I don't know how viable this is without Leia, but having said that, just B-Wings and X-Wings together are great. So the B-Wings have the 1-speed Talon rolls, the X-Wing has the 3-speed Talon rolls. Yeah. So I guess that dictates what range they're going to fly at. Your named B-Wings are going to be up close.
Yeah, well, the B-Wing also has the 2-speed K-turn as well.
Yeah, indeed. Very, very aggressive flying. Now, let's talk about something here which is interesting. Elusive allows you to re-roll any defense dice, and you recharge it by doing a red maneuver. So it's pretty good on the B-Wing. In terms of its application on Braylon Stram versus 10 Num, that's interesting. So if we read it, while you defend, you may spend a charge to re-roll a defense die. I actually like it better on 10 Num. Yeah. Because you can re-roll the dice and then convert the focus. So you're very likely to get a result out of it.
Yeah, okay, I see that.
And Braylon Stram already has re-rolls. So you're re-rolling 2 defense dice if you're stressed.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you might not be stressed at the same time you get to use Elusive. The advantage is you have defense dice to re-roll more frequently. You're likely to be stressed quite a lot of the time, though. Yeah. That's the only thing.
The only other thing I can see is with Elusive on 10 Num, that then brings him up to 59 points. Makes him a bit more juicier of a target.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could think about putting advanced sensors on Braylon Stram instead. I really do like advanced sensors on 10 Num, though, because you can do a red maneuver, clear the stress, and then advanced sensors the next turn.
Yeah.
Very few ships can do a red maneuver and then use advanced sensors the next turn. It's a very, very powerful thing to be able to do. But having said that, Braylon Stram, it's still helpful with red maneuvers because you still get your action. So I don't hate it. You could switch those 2 upgrades, I guess. Yeah, I see what you mean. Getting those points towards more equilibrium is a good thing. I mean, you could just cut advanced sensors and put fire control system on both. They're both great options.
It's not a bad idea, actually.
I do think that there is absolutely something to be said for using fire control system instead of advanced sensors on a ship that's going to be frequently stressed. Oh yes, speaking of Dead Man Switch, I don't hate it here as much as I usually do.
Yeah.
Because, your opponent wants to take Leia off the board quite frequently. I just people on the side of caution when it comes to Dead Man Switch. It's great fun for casual play. If you can kill your opponent's ship with it, you feel really good. Yeah. But for consistency, tournament play, it's very problematic because your opponent has complete agency over when it pops. It can easily end up doing more damage to you than your opponent.
Yeah, and I think in that case, fire control for the same amount of points feels a bit safer.
Yeah, it's just a more powerful card in general, and a more consistent card in general. I mean, you've got to fly that U-Wing really aggressively to get value out of it, and I don't know if the U-Wing really wants to be doing that, especially in a list where you have 2 B-Wings. They're going to be your main aggressors. Yeah. So, that's what I'd mainly think about, to be honest. I don't hate Elusive on Braylon Stram. I think I probably prefer it on 10 Num. Yeah. I think, but it's more insurance on Braylon Stram. I get it. In any case, really cool idea. Yes, it's a 4-of list with Leia. Generally more powerful builds that we're seeing in terms of meta lists. They tend to be a little bit cheaper than this, and your X-Wings and your B-Wings need to be a bit more stripped back. But really cool, simple idea. Dig it a lot. Leia's doing a lot of work, and that's what Leia's going to do. Okay, another patron list here by Thomas Orest. This time with Braylon Stram, 10 Num, Nora Wexley, and Cassian Andor.
Yeah, now Braylon Stram has Crackshot and Jamming Beam.
As does 10 Num.
Nora Wexley has Crackshot and Leia Organa.
And Cassian Andor just has the Pivot Wing as the free upgrade. This is even more aggressive than the last list.
Yeah, you've got Leia Organa being able to change your red to white maneuvers once every 3 turns, and Cassian Andor
to
stripping stress on top of that. It's
great. What we're usually seeing in terms of tournament play at the moment is Leia actually on Cassian. That just compresses that whole concept. Basically, if you lose that platform, you lose all the synergies that would be derived from that platform. Am I making sense here?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
If you have Leia on another platform and Cassian there, if one of them dies, the other one doesn't feel so good. That's what I'm saying there.
Yeah.
It's still great. Both of them are still highly valuable separately, so I don't hate it. I really like the inclusion of Nora. I think that's a really fun thing to be able to do.
Nora being able to
aggressive
to change things to evades for the...
Yeah, I want to be range 0 to 1 of my opponents all the time.
Yeah.
She does a lot of work. She does a lot of work on the Arc and on the Y-Wing. Really, really cool pilot. Also Initiative 5, for what that's worth. Just be mindful that you have 3 ships now that want to be really aggressive and close. These B-Wing builds, in particular, definitely want to be up close. It's much easier to get things inside your bullseye firing arc when you're range 1.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah, for sure. So yeah, just ultra aggression. Again, jamming beams. Whatever.
Yeah.
I guess if you're taking a pot shot from long distance, which you will occasionally have to do even in a list like this, it might be relevant.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What I'm also thinking is when Leia eventually gets her points increase, you could change Nora to Garvin.
Yeah, I suppose you could, couldn't you? Looking at those costs, Garvin Dreys is 4 points cheaper. If Leia Organa goes up to 6 points, that's a straight out trade.
Yeah.
Also, Garvin Dreys just a good pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having that focus token feels
All
good.
Initiative 4. So he can focus up and then fire first, use his focus token, pass it to someone else.
Yeah.
Actually feels really good. Feels really good alongside Braylon Stram, who has rerolls. Yeah, that's a real good idea, actually. I like that a lot. How expensive does Leia have to be to not see play is the question there.
Exactly.
Kind of scary. Yeah, another cool idea, just U-Wing Leia plus 3 heavy hitting ships. There's really not a lot to say about this. This is indeed what we're seeing in terms of tournament play. Looks really, really good. If either of you guys actually had a go at this and flown it in one of the major tournaments, let us know because, we're seeing a lot of this. I just yesterday recorded the video on the UK System Open and this is what we're seeing pretty predominantly. B-Wing's always fun in that because of how aggressive they can be. I'm not sure if you really want to, whether one's just better. We're seeing a lot of 10 Num in those lists, so maybe Braylon Stram as well. Oh, actually, before we go on to the next list as well, should mention Braylon Stram's a point more than 10 Num. I don't agree with that. I think it should be the other way around.
Yeah, 10 Num feels a bit more powerful, doesn't he?
Yeah, because 10 Num can modify dice plus lose his stress token. Braylon Stram has a similar amount of upside where you can just convert dice all day long. 10 Num can do that, clear stress, do another red maneuver, clear stress. 10 Num's dumb. Moving on to this next list by Shauna Domestic. I hope I pronounced that correctly. By the way, Shauna, notice you've submitted a lot of lists in the past few months. Really appreciate that, so thank you so much for that. Yeah, Biggs, Nora, Green Squadron Pilot, and 10 Num this time.
Yeah, now Biggs just has the Servo S foils.
Indeed, the rest of these pilots all have Selfless, Nora, Green Squadron Pilot, and 10 Num.
Yeah, but 10 Num also has advanced sensors.
Yeah, I like advanced sensors a lot on 10 Num.
Yeah.
As I said, he's the only pilot that can do a red maneuver with advanced sensors activated and still do it again the next turn. It's pretty cool. So we have a Selfless Biggs Dark Lighter type list here to clear all of those critical hits and just shirk them off to one another. Really good so long as your opponent is not just rolling a lot of hits, but still good. I mean, it's probably going to happen.
It's still 4 really good ships just sitting there. So.
That's it. Yep. And if you do have hits, well, I guess Biggs can take care of that. Cool thing is, I suppose the idea is Biggs can sponge up the regular hits and the rest of them can take the crits. So if you fly them in formation, yeah, I can see what's going on there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit awkward now the Ark's on a medium base, so flying them in formation is not as easy. All of these platforms have all of the 2-speed maneuvers, as in the basic maneuvers, none of them being red, so that makes that a little bit easier. Just Nora Wexley being Nora
Being
Wexley.
medium.
I guess Nora Wexley can just charge at your opponent and the rest can follow her. That seems okay as well. Green Squadron pilot. I mean, just having a look at this, why have we gone for Green Squadron? Initiative 3, 3, 4. I guess it's matched with Biggs. It's not insignificant. I mean, if we knocked it down to the Initiative 1 Phoenix, which still has a talent, that's still a thing. I mean, maybe this was originally designed before the points change where it didn't.
Yeah.
That is absolutely something worth thinking about. Initiative 1 on an A-Wing makes a fantastic blocker. It's absolutely something worth thinking about, Shauna. Plus, you have a 2-point bid for when it's relevant with Nora. I mean, Initiative 5, it's...
I suppose, yeah.
Like people who that fly Initiative 5 that just take the full 200 points is completely common right now in the game. At least it is with the metas we play and the metas we see.
Yeah.
Just in terms of 10 num in this list, advanced sensors, yes. Selfless is curious. Considering how aggressive the B-Wing wants to be, might not be the most incredible upgrade. It works at range 0 as well. I mean, that's kind of useful if you want to block your own ships and get positions and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess 10 and Nora being ultra aggressive seems alright. If you're using your A-Wing as a blocker, I can see that being okay.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, elusive is the same amount of points.
Yeah, I don't love elusive because it's only 1 reroll on defense. I mean, how many times have you picked up green dice and re-rolled them and went, oh, okay, blank into blank. Great job. I'm glad I spent points on that. Ugh.
But at least on a B-Wing, you're going to be using red maneuvers a lot more.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, you're definitely getting a lot of value out of elusive. I mean, is it worth not having Selfless or the Selfless effect that Biggs has on every ship? I don't think it really cripples this list if you have one less ship without Selfless. So I agree with you from that point of view. I really like it on the A-Wing as a blocker. That's really kind of fun. Yeah. I like it on Nora because she's just so chunky. I guess the B-Wing's really chunky as well.
Yeah, actually, it's 4 shield, 4 hull.
The 1-to-1 ratio of hull and shield for a ship without 8 health is very significant. So that's where Selfless gets a bit more powerful. I like these mass Selfless lists. We haven't really seen them do much in terms of tournament play. No. Really cool, fun, casual, though. I like this quite a lot.
Yeah.
And it would be a fun thing to see in tournaments, so long as it's not just super oppressive. Like if they make Selfless 1 point, which, given that they made Leia 2 points, could happen. I mean, let's not put it past them at this stage, just to shake up the meta. Okay, moving on to this final list here by Jeff Killian in the YouTube comments with a bunch of B-Wings.
Yeah.
Just a whole bunch of B-Wings.
Now, these are 4 blue squadron pilots, all with fire control system, jamming beam, advanced proton torpedoes, and munitions failsafe.
I always want to make sure I talk about spamming a ship whenever we bring it up in the hangar bay, because it's always an interesting conversation. And yes, you've got to compare it to similar things that you can get in similar groups. So, yeah, the conversation around this is pretty much TIE Phantoms at this point. That is what is being flown as a 4 of quite heavily. This definitely has things the TIE Phantoms can't do. It flies way more aggressively than TIE Phantoms, but it flies way more predictably than TIE Phantoms. So that's where it gets a bit difficult. Jamming beam, who cares? Fire control system is a great value card to have across all your ships.
Yeah.
The real conversation here, I think, is about advanced proton torpedo, because we really have to look at this card, evaluate whether it's really worth spending 6 points on here.
Yeah, considering that the ion torpedoes are also
6 points. Yeah, and I was just going to say, I think ion torpedo is probably actually more what we want on this platform. Advanced proton torpedoes, you only have 1 charge, only fires at range 1. Yeah, it's really, really good if you make it work.
But you are going to be mostly at range 1 with these fighters. You want to be
Initiative
anyway.
2. Oh, you definitely want to be.
Yeah.
I'm not discrediting that for a second. Oh boy. But yeah, it's tough with initiative 2s. Your opponent can just deny. And the second that you lose one of these with advanced proton torpedoes without getting to fire it, the feel bad start to happen, and the value starts to eke away from your list. Ion torpedo is much more easy to use because it works at range 2 to 3. You get 2 charges, you have a decent amount of control out of it, it fires 4 red dice, and you can capitalize off the back of it by controlling where your opponents fly, and it does not matter how low your initiative is if you're ioning your opponent.
That's true.
That's another big reason I like it so much.
We could also maybe look at a cannon as well.
We could. I mean, as we were saying before, I think that's one of the big issues with this platform. It doesn't really have great options. Heavy laser cannon, ion cannon are both interesting. Yeah, that's pretty much my response too. Heavy laser cannon is good if you can catch things in the bullseye firing up, but that's not easy. I guess if you're flying them in a swarm, yeah, you can do that whole vulture droid thing where you line up some of them, and that's okay. It's a very expensive thing to try and do, though. Ion cannon, I feel like it's a bit more consistent overall, but it doesn't increase the amount of dice you throw. That's why I do slightly like the ion torpedoes.
It's at least one more, isn't it? Yeah.
You got 2 charges, and you're likely to not need to fire more than 2 anyway. Plus, with munitions failsafe, if you do miss, you get that bonus as well. You don't lose the charge. I think right now, in terms of en masse B-wings, it's probably our better option. I mean, if you want to go just absolute baller and just go for advanced proton torpedoes, that could also be good. And I think this list, out of everything we've looked at, really highlights what's missing from the B-wings, and that's just real strong options for its upgrades.
Yeah.
It definitely flies in a very unique way. It would love to see a return of auto blasters in some kind of efficient capacity. That's, I think, the key thing we're looking at here. I mean, you can make the argument, well, advanced proton torpedoes works at range 1 too, but auto blasters don't need target locks and all that kind of stuff. There's more opportunity cost with advanced proton torpedoes.
Now, we've also got Snapshot coming out later on.
To get access to a talent, we need to spend 43 points on our base level B-Wing instead of 41 points, which is completely feasible, but yes, it's going to matter how much Snapshot costs. I think that Snapshot is probably going to be more expensive than it was. It's extra attacks. It's very, very powerful, even if it is taking up the talent slot.
But, if it's 4 points...
It's a real good platform for it. I completely agree. Snapshot on B-Wing could be very scary. Snapshot and Auto Blaster, like taking both those range 1 shots and just, it might be magical Christmas land thinking maybe we want to be more versatile and just take Snapshot and take your primary and have more flexibility in the way you shoot.
But we're not here for that.
No, we're here for the funsies. That's right. So yeah, look, Jeff, I think this is a real cool concept that is going to benefit from upgrades coming out really, really soon.
Yeah.
In the meantime, ships like the TIE Phantom already has all the toys that it wants.
Yeah.
In fact, if anything, FFG are going to start taking away toys because we know that Duke en masse with the Sigma Squadron pilot is problematic right now. You basically have to look at these 4 of lists and kind of justify what makes your list compete with them, or at the very least point out what makes your list unique. B-Wings are unique. There is no ship like a B-Wing. I think the E-Wing is sort of comparable, but the E-Wing is also way more expensive because it has like the really tight 1-speed maneuvers, that kind of stuff.
Also the range 3 target, beyond range 3 target. Loss.
Yeah, and you can power target. E-Wings do dumb things, so it's not really that fair to compare. There are elements from all these different ships. It's similar to an X-Wing in some ways. It's similar to an E-Wing in some ways. But just this really efficient knife fighter with a good punching attack, that's where it's at. And I think that's where it's going to continue to evolve and hopefully get some more pilots that help with that. Not ones that work with stress. I think ones that have a better like attack buffs and that kind of stuff. I think that's what we really benefit from. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like us to have a look at one of your lists, please down in the comments section below. The pilots and all the upgrades with all the points and everything with a link to that list within your favourite squad builder. Yet another squad builder or the official squad builder. If you built it in something else that you can't give us a link in, I understand that, but if you can, it's very, 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 very helpful.
Yeah, it makes this job so much easier.
Oh boy, it does. We'll be back talking about this again in a few weeks' time. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe. Like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Reddit. Please consider supporting the Patreon as well. Thank you so much to all of my existing patrons and all of you guys on YouTube that have submitted all of these lists. This is just going from strength to strength. We're getting a lot of interest on these videos. Can't wait to get back into it.
Yeah, definitely.
No worries. Catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.